Hello, this is Grandma Jan from Red Toad Art Studio, and today we are going to continue our series in 50 Ways to Draw Your Beautiful Ordinary Life by making a collage using a sideboard as our focal point. Now, in our book, it showed us how to draw this cute sideboard. It really is cute. And I drew a sideboard in my sketch pad that looked something like this. Now, this isn't actually it because I've used that piece of artwork for something else, and I'll show you what I did with it. But this is basically what it looked like. This was my first try at drawing this sideboard. Now, I made my sideboard a little different. I made it to look like the one I have. I have an old antique one, and I changed it to look like my antique. And what we're going to do is try to make a collaged sideboard today, and we're going to place it like in a hallway with pictures and some things like that. All right, I'll show you the steps that I've gone through. My first step was to draw this. And then I cut it out. Nice little sideboard, but it's the wrong color. So I found a piece of scrapbooking paper that looked like wood, laid it down, and traced around it. So my next step is to cut this out. So, shall we do that? The big challenge in this collage is to make this sideboard really look like a piece of furniture. And we'll see if I'm up to that or not. Okay, cut our sideboard out. Okay, there is my sideboard. Now, this up here in this little area is a mirror. So I'm going to make my mirror out of tin foil. I've taken an index card and then I have glued foil over that index card and came up with a shiny piece of paper. Now, I'm just going to cut this out and glue this behind the safe. So let's see if that works or not. I'll use my X-Acto knife for this. There we go. Now I need to cut a strip of this and glue it to the back of this. Now, it's not exactly smooth, but you know, this is an antique and it can look like old glass, an old glass mirror. So let's glue this on. Now, we'll need to trim that off as soon as it dries. So while we've got the glue out, let's put some door pulls on. Down here on these two doors. And then we have to do something about the drawers. But I want to use these pretty little stickers, jewel stickers. And I guess I better get a little bit of glue. We just want to touch it. In fact, let's get some tweezers. Oops. There we go. Now, I wonder about the drawer pulls. Let's see if we can find something that might work. How about these gold sequins? They're not, they're flatter than some of the other sequins, and I think that might be better for closing the book. They're very hard to handle. So let's put those on there. We'll just get a drop of glue where we want it. The same way I think it works best off the tip of my finger, because this puts such a big glue glob on the end of it from the bottle. Okay, we've got two more. There we go. All right. Now we'll let that dry and cut the mirror part out. We can set this aside and start working on our hallway. Now this is supposed to look like an old house this is sitting in. So I want to use something that looks like old-fashioned wallpaper. I found this in some of my scrapbooking paper, and I think it looks like a real old vintage wallpaper. So, since this will be a double spread, I think, I've already cut out two pieces to fit in my book. So let's get my collage book. Here's my good old book that I made for this series. And I'm sure it'll last me a long time afterwards, too. Right here. Now, I have my camera as high as it will go, and it's hard for me to fit this under, but we'll do our best. My first piece of paper is going to go here and cross over this center line, because if I don't, we always have this gap showing. And after I get that down, I will match this paper here, and we'll only have a little light line showing on our wall. So let's try to get this down. I made notes to myself when I cut it out where this fit so that I wouldn't forget and I would put it in wrong. I'm a grandma and I would forget that. I have been working on this for several days. I have gone ahead and cut out all that I can cut out. And I have pre-inked several of my images. I think that's pretty paper. It would be beautiful wallpaper if you liked wallpaper. Now I have to decide, yeah, I think this will go over the top. Yeah. So let's glue this down. Be sure I get glue on the middle there so it sticks to the middle real tight. Actually, sometimes I feel like when we use paper backgrounds, it's the hardest thing to do to get it nice and straight. It can be the big challenge of the collage, actually. So let's get our other side on. Be sure that closes well. It's like papering a real room, isn't it? And they need to match perfectly down through here. So I will get this part glued first. There we are. That way we have a seamless collage. Now let's finish gluing this down. Now, we have some trimming to do off the edge. And a little bit of curve on the page edges here. Okay. Now, this is a hallway. And if the safe is to sit here, it needs to sit on the floor. So there needs to be carpeting. So I have cut some pieces that look like old carpet, old green carpet with red specks in it, which will go right down there. And another thing about older houses you've probably seen this, is that there's something we call a baseboard along there. So there is carpeting, baseboard, and then wallpaper. And our sideboard will sit right down there. So I think the next step is to put carpeting in. We'll carpet our hallway. And we'll do the same thing. We'll let this cross over here. Which way do we want to do this? Now, this is mainly green, not red here, so I'll need to match this green spot about there. Yeah, and we'll hardly notice the crack. I'll just cut a little bit off here. The area our cameras will film is so small, it's kind of hard sometimes to get all of our work under the camera. But that's the idea, isn't it? It's a learning curve for me. As much as making the collages themselves, it's a learning curve on how to film them so that you can see the important parts. And your fingers get sticky. And I like to use my brayer when my fingers are sticky. So I'm not touching my image. Now let's be sure this shuts okay. I love this book for working in. I would recommend this to anyone who wants to do collages. And cut off the excess. And now let's put our baseboard on. It will be glued on right about there. Okay. There we are. Ironically, that's the seam that shows up the most. We'll cut this little piece off in a little bit. All right, where are we? I think we're ready to trim our mirror. And we'll put it about like that. Now we have a hallway with a sideboard in it. We want to put some pictures on the wall and some things sitting on the sideboard. Let's see what I can find. I went through all my books and found this little statue. I think that fits the mood of the place. Can you see that? It looks old-fashioned. Maybe that side. And I found some little books. I think should maybe, possibly, sit on there. And I think maybe we should do the pictures, figure out where they go before we glue anything down. And I have some really cute pictures. I'm a cat lover. I love these. And I have a gold frame to put around them and hang them on the walls. They just seem to go with this. So the first thing I will need to do is glue these frames on and trim this. Tell you what, I will move these for now. Don't want to lose them. And we'll work on our pictures. I want to glue this frame. Now, I just glued this off camera because I haven't got room to put all this on here where you can see every step I do. So I'm trying to get the most I can. I want that to go down a little bit. There we go. Mr. Cat. Let's get this one glued down. And I am going off camera for that. Little Miss Kitty Cat. Now carefully trim this. This one will go on this side, looking this way. And this one will go in this side, looking that way. This way and that way. And I have a couple more pictures. I have these frames. Years ago, someone gave me this, or I bought it. I don't even remember. Embossed frames, and they're all kinds of frames in this little book. Isn't that neat? I don't know if they're still out there. I should check on Amazon. And this is one of the frames, and I thought this picture of a stamp would be perfect in there. And you know, they put a lot of pictures along their hallways, so that's what we're going to do too. I'm going to glue around the edge of this picture and glue this frame on. Sorry about this glare here. I didn't realize that would glare so much. Oh well, we can still see what we need to see. I'll take this away now. And this frame will go about there. And then I had a teeny tiny frame. Was in this book. And this little kitty cat will go in there and right there. Don't you think that's cute? I love it. There, that's better, that direction. like that. And I have this frame that I want to make into a mirror. See if I can cut a straight line here. Yeah, that will make a great mirror, I think. My fingers are sticky. Now, before I glue anything down, I want to fit these things in. I thought something might be sitting along here on the floor, like a big vase with flowers in it. And do we want this? I found a cat laying down, reading the newspaper, probably. But there's probably a cat in the house somewhere. I like that. What do you think? I think I need to get it glued down. That's what I think. Okay, let's get this down. All right, let's get some of these down. Okay. So let's decide, should maybe it go like this? I like those pictures. I like that. Let's get this picture. Maybe a little too close to that picture. Is that better? There. Get the mirror here. There, isn't that cute? I really like that. Let's see. Let's glue this onto our vase or our pot, whatever you want to call it. Big house, big pot for lots of flowers. Okay. Let's get this on the sideboard. Maybe like that. Or like, yep, it's better here, isn't it? The mansion belonging to the McCatsons. Mr. and Mrs. McCatson. And I think we'll put this kitty right here. And that should just about finish our picture. There, the McCatskin Mansion. I imagine there's more things we could do with this, but at this moment, I really can't think of it, so I think we'll leave it just like this. And I hope this has inspired you to make some furniture ephemera and make rooms with that furniture. In fact, I've gotten the urge to take this design and make a great big tall piece of furniture and doors that open. Interactive furniture. What do you think of that? I think I may try that in a collage coming soon. We'll see. But I think that might be really interesting. These doors could have opened if I had planned it earlier. So, I'm thinking. I hope you have enjoyed being with me on this journey and that you're feeling creative today and that you will have a wonderful day collaging or drawing or whatever you love to do. And I will say bye-bye for now.